Respect is not something that comes because you asked for it, begged for it, or demanded it. Respect comes because you carried yourself in such a way that nobody had a choice but to give it to you. Too many people walk around thinking that if they just scream louder, if they just get angrier, if they just throw around some threats, then suddenly the world is going to bow down and give them what they want. But that's not how it works. Real respect is never forced, it is inspired. It is not something you talk into existence, it's something you walk into existence. You don't tell people to respect you. You live in such a way that respect becomes the only response. Think about it when you see someone who knows who they are, who moves with certainty, who speaks with clarity, who doesn't chase validation from anyone. Something inside you rises up and you respect them without them even asking. You don't respect them because they demanded it. You respect them because their energy left you no other option. That is the shift. Respect is not gained in the noise. It is gained in the silence of how you move. It's gained when you stop trying to prove to everybody that you're worth something and you actually start believing it yourself. Here's where so many go wrong. They think respect comes from trying to control other people's behavior. They'll say, if you love me, you'll do this. If you respect me, you'll act like this. If you care, you'll say this. But let me tell you something, the more you try to control people, the less they respect you. Because respect doesn't live in control, it lives in freedom. People respect you when they feel like you don't need them to validate who you are. They respect you when they see that your standards don't waver, whether they meet them or not. So stop chasing people to respect you. Stop fighting for their attention. Stop lowering your standards to get a little piece of approval. Instead, raise your standards and live by them. When you say, this is how I deserve to be treated, and then you actually back it up by walking away from anything less, that's when the respect comes. Because respect is born in the consistency of your boundaries. People are always watching to see what you will tolerate, and once they know what you tolerate, they decide how to treat you. If you keep tolerating disrespect, mistreatment, lies, and excuses, you can never complain about the lack of respect you receive. You taught them that this is acceptable. Respect is not in the words you post online, not in the quotes you share, not in the speeches you give about how valuable you are. Respect is in the way you carry yourself when no one is clapping for you. It's in the way you demand more from yourself than you demand from other people. It's in the way you choose to rise even when life has knocked you down. Respect is built in those unseen moments where you decide not to settle, not to compromise, not to sell your soul for a little temporary validation. And let me make something clear, people confuse respect with fear. They think if people are intimidated by them, they have respect. No, fear doesn't last. Fear makes people avoid you. Fear makes people talk behind your back. Fear makes people cheer for your downfall. But respect makes people trust you. Respect makes people follow you. Respect makes people speak highly of you even when you're not in the room. You don't want fear. You want respect. Fear makes you big in the moment, but respect makes you legendary. So what should you do instead if you're tired of being disrespected? Stop focusing on trying to fix other people and start fixing your boundaries. Stop explaining yourself to people who already know they're mistreating you. Stop giving out discounts on your worth just to keep someone around. When you start living as if you know your value, People either rise up to meet your standard or they fall away. Either way, you win. Because the truth is, you don't lose when people walk away. You lose when you keep people in your life who constantly lower the way you see yourself. Respect also shows up in the way you respect yourself. If you want people to respect you, but you don't take care of yourself, you don't invest in yourself, you don't believe in yourself, then you're asking for something you're not even practicing. Respect yourself enough to pursue your goals. Respect yourself enough to walk away from toxic environments. Respect yourself enough to stop explaining to people why you're worthy. Respect yourself enough to stand tall when everything around you is trying to shrink you. That's this. You should do instead respect yourself first, consistently and unapologetically. Now, let's be real, life is going to test this. You'll have people who laugh at your standards, people who try to guilt you for walking away, people who will call you selfish for demanding better. And you know what? Let them talk. Because their opinions don't pay your bills, their approval doesn't build your peace, and their validation doesn't add 1 ounce of value to your soul. The same people who mock you today will be the ones who come back later asking how you did it. Because in time, consistency always wins. Stop letting desperation talk you out of your dignity. Some of you stay in situations that don't honor you because you're afraid of being alone. But let me tell you, there is nothing lonelier than staying with someone who doesn't respect you. Being alone is not the problem. Being with the wrong people is. Being alone gives you a chance to build, to heal, to focus, to strengthen your standards. And when you come out of that, people can see the difference. They can sense the growth. That's when respect multiplies. And let's not get it twisted. Respect is not about arrogance. It's not about walking around with your nose in the air, acting like you're better than everybody else. Respect is about humility and confidence walking side by side. It's about knowing that your worth doesn't make you better than anyone, but it also doesn't make you less than anyone. It's about moving through life with kindness, but also with firmness. It's about showing love without losing yourself. When you balance grace and grit, you become unstoppable. The secret to gaining respect is not in what you demand from others, but in what you demonstrate yourself. If you want respect in your relationships, respect yourself enough not to tolerate lies and games. If you want respect at work, respect yourself enough to show up on time, do your best, and stop settling for less than your worth. If you want respect in friendships, respect yourself enough not to be the one always giving while others are always taking. It starts with you. So the next time you feel like screaming, "Respect me," don't. Do this instead. Step back, breathe, and ask yourself, what standard have I been setting? Then tighten those standards, raise them higher, live by them so consistently that anyone who encounters you has no choice but to honor them. That's how respect is built. Not in one big moment, not in one fiery argument, but in the daily decision to hold yourself at a higher level. Respect doesn't come fast. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes consistency. But once you earn it, it sticks. Once people know that you're not playing games with your life, once they see that you refuse to let anyone devalue you, once they realize you walk in your truth, whether they clap or not, that's when respect becomes your reputation. And there is nothing more powerful than a reputation of strength, dignity, and self-worth. So stop begging, stop demanding, stop pleading for people to give you what you already have the power to give yourself. Do this instead. Stand in your value, guard your standards, walk in your truth. And when you do that, respect won't be something you have to chase. It will be something that follows you everywhere you go. Respect is never demanded. It is inspired through how you carry yourself. Because every single interaction you have with the world sends out a silent message about who you are and what you stand for. And when people observe you, when they listen to you, when they watch how you walk into a room, how you sit down, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, they are reading you without you ever having to open your mouth. And in that silent reading, they are forming an impression that decides whether they will give you respect freely or whether they will hold it back. And the truth is that real respect can never be forced, because the moment you try to force people into respecting you, what you are really asking for is fear, and fear might get you compliance. Fear might get you obedience for a short season, but it will never give you honor. It will never give you the weight of admiration that respect brings, and that is why respect is not something you shout for. It is something you earn without saying a word, through the dignity and discipline of your character, through the way you honor yourself and the way you remain consistent even when life is trying to push you off course. The way you carry yourself is the silent sermon you preach every day without a pulpit, without an audience, without a script, because people are always watching and people are always testing. They want to see if you mean what you say. They want to see if your words and your actions line up. They want to know if you really believe in yourself enough to hold your head up even when the storm comes. And so the secret is not in demanding respect, but in living in such a way that respect has no choice but to find you, because the human spirit can feel authenticity. The human heart can feel strength. The human eye can see consistency. And those things inspire respect far louder than threats, far louder than shouting, far louder than trying to control anyone. You can walk into a room dressed in expensive clothes. You can ride up in the fanciest car. You can sit at the head of the table and still not command respect if your spirit is small, if your integrity is weak, if your words are shallow. Because people respect character more than costumes. They respect honesty more than titles. They respect strength of heart more than size of bank account. And so the most powerful thing you can ever wear is not an outfit or a piece of jewelry, but the quiet dignity of self-respect. Because when you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, when you respect yourself enough to say no when you need to say no, when you respect yourself enough to not beg for love, not chase after validation, not compromise your soul for attention, you radiate a strength that makes people stop and take notice. Respect flows from alignment between who you are on the inside and how you present yourself on the outside, and people can smell the difference between confidence and arrogance, between humility and insecurity, between someone who is grounded in truth and someone who is faking an image. And the reason carrying yourself with self-respect inspires others to respect you is because it reveals stability, and stability is rare in a world full of masks, a world full of pretenders, a world full of people chasing approval instead of standing firm in their identity. So when you carry yourself with clarity, when you are rooted, when you walk with purpose, you draw respect, because people are hungry for realness. People are hungry for strength that doesn't shout. People are hungry for someone who is steady when everything else is shaking. Carrying yourself with respect means you understand that your time is valuable and you don't waste it on people who play with you. Carrying yourself with respect means your words are not cheap and you don't throw them everywhere for attention. Carrying yourself with respect means you honor your body, your mind, your energy, and you don't let everyone have access to you. And because you value yourself in this way, people are forced to value you too, because no one will ever treat you higher than the level you treat yourself. And when you carry yourself with excellence, with discipline, with humility and confidence mixed together, you create an atmosphere where respect becomes the natural language people use around you. It is not about trying to be perfect. It is about being consistent in your standards, consistent in your principles, consistent in your integrity, because people can forgive mistakes, people can forgive flaws, but what they can't forgive is hypocrisy. What they can't respect is dishonesty. What they can't admire is someone who changes their character every time the wind blows. And so the most powerful way you inspire respect through how you carry yourself is by staying true to what you believe, standing tall in what you value, holding your ground even if you stand alone, because there is something magnetic about conviction, something powerful about a person who refuses to shrink themselves to fit into other people's boxes, something admirable about someone who would rather walk alone with dignity than sit at a crowded table and lose themselves. Respect is inspired when you take responsibility for your life, when you stop blaming everyone else, when you refuse to live as a victim and instead live as a victor, because people may sympathize with weakness, but they only respect strength. People may pity excuses, but they only admire accountability. And so when you carry yourself like the author of your story, when you take ownership of your wins and your losses, when you use failure as fuel instead of chains, you inspire people to look at you differently, to treat you differently, to honor you in a way that no demands could ever achieve. The way you carry yourself teaches the world how to carry you. And if you carry yourself lightly, the world will treat you like a toy. But if you carry yourself with weight, the world will treat you with reverence. And that weight doesn't come from pride. It comes from purpose, from knowing who you are, from knowing what you deserve, from knowing what you bring to the table. And when you have that inner knowing, you don't have to beg for respect. It follows you into every space. It whispers your worth before you speak. It announces your presence without arrogance, because true respect is not demanded. It is simply inspired by the quiet power of how you carry yourself. Respect grows deeper, not from what you say, but from what you do consistently, because action is the language that speaks louder than declarations and promises. And when people observe you long enough, they learn whether your values are rooted in reality or just floating words that sound good in the moment, because the test of character is not in how you present yourself when all eyes are on you, but in how you live when nobody is watching and when nobody is clapping. And the truth is that people form respect for you based on your patterns, not your speeches, because your habits tell the world what kind of person you really are. More than your lips ever can. If you want to gain respect through action, you have to show reliability, because reliability is the invisible glue that holds trust together, and trust is the soil out of which respect grows. Because if people cannot count on you to show up, if they cannot count on you to follow through, if they cannot count on you to do what you said you would do, then your words are empty. But when your actions become consistent proof of your reliability, When you become that person who can be trusted with responsibility, trusted with time, trusted with secrets, trusted with loyalty, then people honor you because they see you not just as someone who talks, but as someone who lives out the talk. Actions also reveal discipline, and discipline is something that draws respect across every culture, every language, every environment, because people may not always agree with your choices, but they will respect the fact that you had the strength to stay disciplined, to wake up early when you didn't feel like it, to keep pushing when others quit, to say no to temptation when it looked easy to say yes, because the world respects sacrifice. The world respects self-control. The world respects the person who can control themselves instead of trying to control everybody else. And when people witness that discipline, whether it's in how you treat your work, how you treat your health, how you treat your commitments, they can't help but admire it. Your actions show how you treat other people, and that becomes one of the strongest reflections of your character, because respect flows naturally towards someone who treats others with kindness, fairness, and dignity, even when they gain nothing in return, because anybody can treat a boss with respect. Anybody can treat someone with power with courtesy. But the way you treat the waiter, the way you treat the janitor, the way you treat the stranger who cannot give you anything in return, that's what determines whether people will respect you when your back is turned, because kindness without agenda, empathy without hidden motives, humility in action, those are the marks of someone who doesn't just demand respect, but inspires it effortlessly. Another thing that makes action powerful is how it reveals courage, because courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of fear. And when you demonstrate courage through action, whether it's standing up for what's right when it's unpopular, whether it's speaking truth when silence would be safer, whether it's making a move toward your dream when everyone else thinks you're crazy, those moments of courage etch themselves into people's memory. And over time, people cannot help but respect the person who had the audacity to move when others froze, who had the strength to walk alone when the crowd mocked, who had the determination to fight for something bigger than themselves. Respect built through action also requires integrity, and integrity is simply the alignment between what you say and what you do, between what you promise and what you deliver, between who you are in private and who you are in public, because people are constantly observing whether you bend your principles for convenience, whether you change your truth depending on who is in the room, whether you shift your character depending on whether someone is watching, and when they see that you don't move like that, when they see that you have the same backbone in every environment, when they see that you have nothing to hide, then their respect deepens, because they realize you are not performing, you are not pretending, you are not chasing approval. You are simply being consistent. Respect through action also requires patience, because respect is not given overnight. It accumulates over time like layers of stone that form a mountain, and many people lose respect, not because they are unworthy, but because they get impatient and try to prove themselves through shortcuts. But real respect cannot be rushed. It is the result of daily deposits, daily choices, daily disciplines. And the longer you remain steady, the stronger your respect grows. And so patience becomes an action in itself, the action of not reacting to every insult, the action of not chasing every rumor, the action of staying calm when people expect you to lose control, because patience signals strength. Patience signals wisdom. Patience signals self-mastery. And those who master themselves always command respect to your actions. Also communicate vision, because when people watch you consistently move towards something bigger than yourself, when they see that your life has a direction, when they see that you're not just drifting aimlessly, but building, planning, creating, working for something meaningful, they respect you because vision is rare, vision is powerful, vision makes people believe in you even when they don't fully understand your dream. Because action tied to vision proves that you are not just existing, you are living with intention, and people respect those who live on purpose. Ultimately, respect through action is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to ask for it. Because when people look at the sum of your consistency, your reliability, your discipline, your kindness, your courage, your integrity, your patience, and your vision, they recognize something in you that cannot be fake. And respect flows toward you like water flows downhill, naturally, inevitably, because people may doubt your words, they may debate your opinions, but they cannot deny the evidence of your actions, and that evidence speaks louder than anything else ever could.